Yeah, thanks for all of you coming out. We're excited to be here. Exciting year in front of us at Oregon State. We love the group of returners that we have, combining with the recruiting class. So big expectations, and we can't wait to get things going.
Okay, at this time, we'll welcome media up to the podium for questions, and the student athletes are available in the back of the room as well.
Hello, Coach.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. For the first time, I think since you took over at Oregon State, you have depth.
Yes, indeed.
How is that going to affect what you bring to the floor every night?
Well, we're excited about that, and the depth has to have production, right, in order for it to take effect. But there's some things we haven't been able to do defensively that I had in years past, just because we couldn't wear our guys out. That being said, I thought last year especially we did a lot of good things, but because we had to play guys so many minutes, I think that it caught up to us a little bit at the end, and you saw that we lost some close games down the stretch. But I think we'll be able to rest guys a little bit more. Hopefully that's the plan, so that we can build the team and then peak at the right time. But the defensive things that we talked about, I think because of the talent in that depth, we're going to be able to free up some guys that maybe have had a lot of pressure on them in the past to produce for us night in and night out. So those are some of the things we're looking forward to.
I know Jared Lucas is a freshman, but I get the sense he's separating himself from the rest of the pack in practices. What makes him special?
Well, you know, he's the all-time leading scorer in Southern California history for a reason. He can put it in the basket, and we didn't shoot it particularly well last year, and he's one guy that we think brings that. And the surprise has been his toughness and his IQ to pick up our concepts on the defensive end. And so that, more than just rolling him out there to make shots, I think is going to give him an early shot. And then you talk to Gianni Hunt and some of the other guys, Julian Franklin, Big Darren Tucker. The things that they're bringing each and every day has brought a sense of urgency to some of the veteran guys to now be at their best day in and day out. So when you create competition, and it's a great creator of discipline and the character that we want to see.
You can trace in as the old man in the league now at this point, basically.
He hates hearing that.
But, I mean, it gives you kind of a guy that pretty any other matchup, I mean, kind of in terms of being wily and some things, not just talented, but kind of mentally and can kind of do some things out there that not a lot of 18 or 19-year-olds maybe know about yet.
No, for sure. It's great, and you see that across the country when you run across guys that are in their fourth year or their fifth year. Just that maturity they bring to the team. You know, the big thing as coaches, we want to know who we can count on, you know, night in and night out. And it's also good to know who you can't count on. Hopefully you have more of the former. But he's a guy we know what we're going to get from. And I think the biggest improvement that I've seen in the offseason is his mental take on leading his teammates. Now, he's really excited about that group. But his frame of mind for all that he's been through, I think he's in a place where he's not content by any means, but that I've got to prove up because I'm the coach's kid. He's beyond that now, and the way he's approached his teammates and the way he's approached his leadership has shown great maturity, and that's probably the single most thing that I've been impressed with some of the other things that he's worked on this offseason.
He's gotten used to the coach's kid thing, but when it went to the NBA thing, did that become kind of a different deal as dad and coach?
Yeah, I made sure that I was more, you know, he called me dad more than coach through that period. But no, it was a neat process. And I'm an old school guy. When you finish your season, especially when maybe it didn't end the way you wanted, I know we're required to give the guys X amount of time off before, but then I want to get going. Let's get going in the off season and start working towards next year. And then it's hard when you got guys that are like, okay, now I'm going to test the waters, and you know, you worry about what that does to your locker room. But I thought both Ethan and Trace showed great maturity in that they still worked with their teams when we met, you know, to work out, and then they did what they had to do on the side to prepare for that experience. So it was a good experience. I was more of a guidance counselor as far as selecting of an agent. And then when it came down to we got the feedback, it was decision time, he was the one that he came into my office with a big grin on his face, and I said, what are you smiling about? And he's like, I'm nervous. I'm like, well, shoot, you've known me for 22, 23 years. And he said, no, I'm excited to be coming back. I love the group that we have, and we haven't looked back since. So
Ethan be your point guard again? Do you see him again in that role?
We hope to move Ethan off the ball at some point. If we played tomorrow, he may be there. But Antoine Vernon really had a good offseason for us. We have Gianni Hunt, who we mentioned that we hope to groom. But we've missed two things that I think are two of their strengths: their ability to run the floor, get the ball up in transition, and go finish, because they've been our leading rebounders. So by putting somebody else at the point and having our bigs rebound a little bit better, we think we're going to be able to maybe show some of those things this season.
Trey coming back, you signed a contract extension. Any relation there?
Well, no. I mean, we just announced today, and his decision was a long time ago. I would hope not, but I tell you, there's security in both sides of that.
How's that work? I mean, is that something that they call you, ask for it, you call them, do you have an agent? I mean, how does that process work, especially when you're a sitting coach?
Yeah, I think there's you have a year-ending kind of evaluation with your boss, and then you talk about the direction of the program. Obviously, we did something that hadn't been done in over 30 years. Our 30 years, I think, with the winning record last season in league. But Scott's been great from day one. This is really just a formality. He loves what we've done with the program, the commitment to the academic piece and the athletic piece, how we're doing things the right way, and obviously that's shown along with President Ray, in rewarding that extension.
Mick Cronin was up here, he was talking about sticker shock of housing prices in LA. Did he talk to him about housing prices in Corvallis?
Hey, they're not too far behind, but it's funny, I talked with one of their assistant coaches, and he said he couldn't believe the prices and finding a place, and he said, I had to compromise on the house for the backyard, so there's always trade-off.
What are you looking forward to most this year?
The gelling of the young guys with our veteran group, and we bit off a lot with our schedule early on. We're playing some tough teams out of the gate, and not only we're not just looking to get experience from that, we're looking to win. But I think seeing how our team approaches that early season and then watching them develop over the course, and then hopefully again peaking in March, I think that's what I look forward to the most.
How's Kyler Kelly's game right now?
Kyler, I tell you, he's probably grown. His confidence has gone through the roof. I'd love to say he's 250 right now, but he's not. He hasn't put on much weight, but he has gotten stronger. He's actually seeking contact now, and he's just playing with a whole new level of confidence. We're gonna hopefully, with the addition of the two younger big guys, be able to move him to the 4 and show his ability to step out, isolate off the elbows, pick and pop a little bit. He's got a great little jump shot from 15 to 16 feet, and putting it on the ground a time or two, getting to the rim. So defensively, he's really matured. Again, he's comfortable in his skin. He's got to play more than 23 minutes a game, and I think we'll get that out of him just because he's so much not much more comfortable with.
Be able to stay out of foul trouble?
That's the key. Yeah.
Personnel changes every year. How much different is this team going to be than last year?
Yeah, it just seems like across the board everywhere. You just with the transfer portal, with guys leaving early, your rosters turn over a lot more than they used to. But it also, if you're on top of things, gives you an opportunity to kind of continue with the momentum that was built. And I think again, in depth, again, it has to perform, it has to produce. But I feel like the depth and the talent level is maybe as good as we've ever had at Oregon State, and I just think that it's all going to come out in the wash once we hit the floor. But you talk about all the hype and players and expectations and predictions and all that. We know how good all you guys are with those. None of it matters. And I had a good talk with our team earlier in the week. It really comes down to what's done on the floor. And those things are exciting, and people want to get the hype going about hoops, but it's really about getting it done on the floor from start to finish, and our guys are chomping at the bit to get to that.
I mean, you haven't played a game in a while.
No.
How anxious do you get? Like, can we just go?
Pretty fired up, yeah. You got to take the proper steps. We've got to gel, get this group coming together, but we want to hit the floor. And we're doing something different this year because we have so many new guys. We're playing 2 exhibition games as opposed to the closed private scrimmage and 1 exhibition game. We felt like the more opportunities to get our guys to be introduced, to play in front of a crowd, will help us get out of the gate when we're playing in earnest.
What kind of a difference do you expect Dastrup to make?
Well, Peyton's got to be key. I just texted him a message the other night. We're not going to be as good a team as we hope to be if he's not performing for us. And he's very skilled. He can shoot. He can pass. We've got to get him to where he wants to do the dirty work. And he hasn't played consistently since really his senior year. He went on the 2-year mission. He served a backup role for 2 years at BYU. So he's got to be able to defend and rebound, to earn the opportunity to get out there on the floor. But when he's right and when he's doing those things, he adds a lot. I go back to Olaf, who, at 6'10", he didn't like to mix it up, but he was such a threat from three, could play in the high post because he could pass. But then Olaf learned how to defend and rebound, and his senior year was big for us. So we hope Peyton will follow that same path.
Coach, can you talk about Ethan Thompson's maturity over the years? You've been able to have him multiple years, and to me, he seems like a man, and I met him when he was a boy, so just curious what your thoughts were on Ethan.
Love having Ethan, and just to see how he's blossomed. It's funny, you try to recognize differences in your own children's personality, but having both he and Steven in our program, they're night and day with their personalities, and Ethan's a little bit more show his emotions on his sleeve. I remember I got after him one time last year, and he shot daggers at me that I hadn't seen from my wife. And I like that. It's okay, because then he responded, and he took his game to a new level. He feels like we can put a little bit more weight on his back to carry us. And it's one thing about Trace and Ethan. They're two of the more competitive guys that I've seen or coached. And sometimes, that can get you in a little bit of trouble. But I think with what they have working with them this year, we're going to see a whole nother level of the way they play. And Ethan, getting back to that whole deal of playing in the shadow of your brother. We asked him out here. He's tired of hearing about it, but he's got the personality. I don't think that he put a wet blanket over himself, but I think now he's going to even be more vocal and exert more leadership, knowing that maybe this is his team and it's his time.
Great, thank you.
Coach, in regards to scheduling, you didn't make it into an exempt tournament this year. I'm not sure if that was by design or not. Just your comments. I know you were able to get a couple nice neutral court games.
Yeah. Well, we are playing. We're playing in the Las Vegas deal where we're playing San Jose State in Las Vegas and then getting 3 home games out of it. It's just not carrying that.
It's MTV. Right?
Yeah. So it's a multi-team event,
Right.
and the problem was we were having issues getting home games, and that was one way this year to get more home games. But we're already signed on to go to Cancun the following year, and we'll hope to get into some more of those events year in and year out for sure.
Excellent. And then you talked a little bit about your depth earlier. Outside of Dash Rep, who of the other newcomers are you going to be counting on the most this year?
Oh boy, it's still pretty early, but Dastrup, having been in our program, for a year, redshirting, probably has a leg up. But I looked at 2 guys, Zack Reichel and Alfred Hollins, who are juniors but have had a ton of experience. Both of those guys, Zach's gone nuts in the weight room. He really wants to be competitive and wants to have a big role on this team. We're trying to help him be clear on what that role is. I mean, he'll admit he hasn't shot the ball like he knows he's capable of, but he's maybe had some other things going on to where if we just focus on him playing D, taking and making the right shots, I think it's going to take some pressure off. And he's got a lot to prove, not to us. We know what he's capable of, but, people were wondering what kind of a role he would have. But he's one of our toughest kids day in and day out, and I know he's going to be big. And bringing in a guy like Jared Lucas, he's one of those guys who's upped his game because there's great competition there. Alfred, same thing. He's finally buying into, he got caught a little bit with, am I playing the 2, the 3, or the 4? And I said, well, you want to play the 2, 3, or the 4? Or do you want to play? And, he's now trusting that we're going to put him in positions to where he can help the team and have success. So those 2, and I mentioned Antoine Vernon in the offseason. He's going to be key for us at the point. He just brings a lot of stability and gives Ethan the flexibility of getting off the ball a little bit. And I think those of the veteran guys, I say veteran, Antoine's only going to be a sophomore, but the returners, those guys right there along with Dastrup will probably have their early edge.
Thank you.
Coach, do you have any sense of how this new California bill, that will conference and, schools outside of that state who have to recruit against that?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be an interesting dynamic because whenever you have different laws in different states that your conference covers, there could be a mess. But there's people that have a lot more initials after their name than mine that'll make those decisions. But I know this. I know in the last decade or so, things have really evolved as far as the student athlete health and welfare, and I know the NCAA is trying to evolve year after year, and I think they will continue to. And we need to trust the powers that be that we're going to continue to try to do what's best for the student athletes. And we had a little conversation out here, and I know we can all think about the negatives that come from it, but let's try to boil down the positives and see if somehow we can put solutions to regulate those things where it's fair and equitable across the board, throughout the country. If that's what we want, we need to make it that way if we're going to continue with the way we have things organized.
Any other questions for Coach Tinkle? You guys good? Okay.
Go Beavs.
That's all we have time for. Thank you.